Look at this. Beautiful car, beautiful day, beautiful roads out here in SoCal by the Pacific Ocean. Today we have a 2008 Porsche 911 GT2. Holy shitballs. We are in for a treat today, boys. When this car first debuted, they only produced this car for the 2008 and 2009 model years. And when it came out, it had an MSRP of $192,000. When adjusted for inflation, that's now $270K in today's dollars. That's right, not a cheap car. And nowadays, an example like this on the used market would fetch you between $220,000 and $250,000. So the question today is this car still worth that premium? A lot of people consider the 997 GT cars, the GT3, the GT2s, to be peak pinnacle 911. The later generations, the 991 and 992s, got a little bit more numb, a little bit less raw, a little bit less race car. So today we're going to answer that question. Now keep in mind, this is very, very rare. They only made 194 in the United States and 19 in Canada across 2008 and 2009. That's in total. Worldwide, there's only 1,200 of these ever made. Now keep in mind, the GT2 was only for the 997.1 generation. For the 997.2, they came out with the GT2 RS. With that being said, let's see how she drives, boys. So right off the bat, gotta love that seating position. I feel like the 996 generation, they didn't quite have it dialed in, but the 997 is money, right on the money. Essentially identical to the 997 GT3 I drove, except that one had a roll cage in the back, so it couldn't really push the seats back. Here I feel quite comfortable, quite ideal. I'm happy. Very heavy clutch, first impressions. Oh, mama. Oh my God, I love this road. Beautiful cornering. Nice loading up of the steering wheel. Got a little bit hydraulic rack. Front end really lightens up on throttle input. Oh, great brakes. Really great brakes. Confidence-inspiring brakes. Great feel, great feedback. Very easy to modulate. I like. Can we just take a moment to appreciate this road, though? This view? My God. She's powered by a variable geometry twin turbocharged flat six 3.6 liter, pushing out 530 horsepower, 505 pound-feet of torque. Now this is derived from the 911 Turbo, the 997 911 Turbo, of course, and it's up 50 horsepower and 55 pound-feet of torque from that 911 Turbo motor, and that was already a very fast car. Also keep in mind that this is only rear-wheel drive, whereas the 911 Turbo is, of course, all-wheel drive, and this is also much lighter. It's 320 pounds lighter than the 911 Turbo. Part of that is going to be from removing the all-wheel drive system, and that brings its net weight to 3,200 pounds. And that's a pretty favorable power to weight ratio, you gotta say. 550 horsepower, 3,200 pounds. I like the sound of that. That's enough to get this car to boogie 0 to 60 between 3.3 and 3.6 seconds, depending on the magazine and depending on the test. Top speed of 204 miles an hour. This car is no slouch, boys. Now keep in mind, even at these lower speeds, the weight distribution is 63% over the rear and 37% over the front. So the front end can get very light on throttle input mid-corner. And even at these low speeds, I'm able to elicit a little bit of understeer. But that actually contributes to part of the theater and the excitement of driving a 911, in my opinion. It's not as intuitive and basic. It's a part of that challenge, and we enjoy, as humans, we enjoy challenges that aren't too challenging, but just the right amount of challenge to get us a little bit outside of our comfort zone. That's where we find a lot of joy, a lot of reward. And 911s with that funky weight distribution, you do actually want a little bit more of a rear weight bias, which is why mid-engine cars are considered to be optimal. Not quite so much 63-37, and that's what actually gives you a little bit more of a challenge, a little bit more of an occasion, a little bit more of a intentionality to driving a 911. Let her open up a little bit. 3,500 RPM. Oh my god. So it's not quite turbo spool, because even above 3,000 RPM, I give it the beans. It takes a split second for it to build up. Oh my god, what grip. We had... Jesus. We got Michelin Pilot Cup 2 tires, 245 in the front, 325 in the rear. Oh my god, PASM is engaged. Holy shit, dude. The power surge on this is just nutty. Nice pedal placement for heel toe. Oh, there we go. A little bit of throttle steer there. LSD, of course, coming standard on all Porsche GT cars. Heel toe, pretty intuitive in this. A lot easier than in the 996 GT cars. Give it a little squirrely. You know, all the inputs are so heavy. The clutch, the brakes, the gear selector. The steering's a little bit light though. With the steering hydraulic rack, you get a lot of great feedback. Good precision too. This car is scary and yet also reassuring at the same time. It's very planted. Okay, that's a little bit too fast. What a car. Carbon ceramic brakes. Fantastic feel. Good initial bite, very easy to modulate. I like these brakes a lot, actually. Now, I've driven a 997 GT3 on the same road before. And the two cars are very similar, but at the same time substantially different. Because the GT3 is naturally aspirated. The GT2, twin turbo, more power, but you lose some of that immediacy with the throttle response, especially when you're waiting for that turbo to spool. And we put PASM off, back into normal mode, bit of a bumpy road. PASM is off. Getting some wheel hop. It's handling these bumps pretty well. This is a little bit harsh at times, this road, but we're not getting undulation. We're getting an absorption, a single compression, and boom, set. Great suspension on this. Oh my god. Nice and easy here. Wow. Easy downshifts, even with the turbo, not too inconsistent with the throttle response. It's actually pretty easy to heel toe, rev match. uphill, really feeling that weight distribution pushed on the rear. This has so much power that it's able to get squirrely third gear. Yeah, going uphill here actually is really illustrating that weight bias. Now, now, a really, really impressive car to drive. But going back to the original question of, is the 997 GT2, is this really peak 911? A lot of people consider that 997 generation to be the best, to be the balance of performance, plus raw, plus balancing the rear engine, rear wheel drive in a decent way. You can argue that the newer generations have really dialed out a lot of the inherent flaws and shortcomings of a RR platform. But this car has a very happy medium where you still have that character, that interesting nature of the 911 and really impressive power. You're not really bothered so much by that understeer, but it's definitely present. You need to change your driving dynamics around that, but I think that's part of the fun part of the challenge. With the turbo, you are getting a little bit more of that surge, which makes it harder to actually drive at the razor's edge because you need immediacy with your throttle response to really toe that line in a safe and predictable manner. Overall, I mean, this car is just so well put together. The inputs are all fantastic. The steering, it's a little bit lighter than the other inputs, but the accuracy, the feedback, the feel, the turn-in is amazing. This car is just very, very, very well sorted out. The gear selector is very, it takes a lot of effort, as does the clutch, but it feels very race car. It feels very congruent with the rest of the vehicle. And I include congruence as one of the factors on my Jubbal Cars driving index, because that is an important part of the car. Does it feel cohesive? Is the spirit of the car matched through and through? And I would argue yes, because this is the GT2, right? It's one step removed from the GT1 race car, and oh my god, it's an occasion driving this car. This is not a car that you want to daily drive or have it stop and go traffic. But if you're able to open this up either on track or on some beautiful twisty roads, you really get it. It really makes a lot of sense. As for what I would choose, between the 997 GT2 and the 997 GT3, I would actually choose the less special, the less exclusive 997 GT3. More of those were made. It's significantly cheaper. But to me, a big part of that driving enjoyment is finding the edge, finding that limit. And the 997, even though it's lower on power, because of that naturally aspirated engine, it sings a little bit better. I mean, the turbos in this car muffle it a little bit. You don't quite, outside the car, the exhaust of the Metzger Flat 6 is amazing, but you hear more of a vacuum noise in here. You don't have that beautiful induction note that you get in the 997 GT3. So different strokes for different folks. They're both fantastic vehicles, but if I was in the fortunate position of choosing between the two, I would actually choose the less special GT3. Now, that being said, is this car worth the over $200,000 that it would fetch today? Now, this example is 23,400 miles on it, and the owner could probably get around 220K for this example. I think at that price point, you have to ask yourself, there are a lot of amazing cars around 200K. It's a lot of paper. And if I'm being honest, while I love and respect and adore this car, I'd probably save 50 grand and go with that 997 GT3 instead. But let me know, what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one.